The dusty colony streets were quiet at night, only the faint hum of alien lights above breaking the silence. A human soldier named Ryan walked carefully, his boots leaving soft marks on the ground. He had been assigned here after the last border war, told only to keep peace and avoid trouble. Most days were calm, but he always felt the eyes of the alien people watching him from the shadows. They did not trust humans, not yet. Ryan stopped when he noticed movement near the corner of an abandoned market. Someone small, wrapped in a thin cloth, was rushing to pick up a basket that had fallen. He almost ignored it until he saw the glow. Her skin was shifting colors, like water reflecting the sun. First, it was pale blue, then it flickered into a nervous green, then back to blue again. Ryan froze because he had never seen anything like it. The girl looked no older than 18, her face delicate, her large alien eyes shining in the dim light. She tried to pull the basket close, avoiding his gaze, but the glow on her arms betrayed her feelings. When she realized the human soldier had noticed, her skin flushed a sharp silver. Fear. Ryan took a step closer, raising his hands slowly. "It's okay," he said gently, his voice calm. He had learned some of their language, just enough to show he meant no harm. But the girl shook her head, clutching the basket tighter. She turned, ready to run. That was when her foot slipped on the uneven stones. The basket fell again, rolling across the ground, scattering strange fruits onto the street. She stumbled, and Ryan instinctively reached forward to steady her. His hand brushed her wrist. In that single moment, everything changed. Her skin erupted into a cascade of colors so bright it lit the street. Red swirled with gold, violet bled into blue, silver streaks rippled like lightning across her arms. Her entire body glowed as if the stars themselves had fallen into her skin. Ryan stepped back in shock, blinking against the sudden brilliance. The girl gasped, her chest heaving. She stared at her own arms, horrified, as if the colors were a curse. She whispered something too soft for him to hear. He only caught one word: forbidden. From the shadows, Ryan heard whispers, the noise of people gathering, doors cracked open, voices rising in alarm. "The color girl," someone hissed. "The prophecy. She has been touched." The girl's eyes widened. She pulled her cloth tighter around herself, trying to hide the light, but it was impossible. The glow pulsed stronger with every beat of her heart. She looked at Ryan with a mixture of terror and confusion, as if asking why his touch had done this. Ryan wanted to speak, to explain that he meant no harm, but his throat was dry. He had no words. The girl turned suddenly, snatched the basket, and fled into the night, her glowing skin leaving trails of light in the air. Ryan stood frozen, watching until she disappeared between the narrow streets. The whispers around him grew louder. People stepped closer, eyes narrowed at him. One old alien man pointed a trembling hand. "Human," he said, his voice low but sharp. "Do you know what you have done?" Ryan shook his head slowly. He did not know. All he had done was try to stop a girl from falling. Yet the look on their faces told him it was something far more dangerous. The old man's eyes glistened with both fear and anger. Her kind must never be touched. Never. The colors, they mark destiny. You have awakened it. Ryan's chest tightened. He wanted to ask what that meant, but the crowd pressed closer. He could feel their suspicion like knives against his skin. He backed away, his hands still tingling from the touch. The memory of the explosion of colors burned in his mind. That night, long after he returned to the soldiers' quarters, he could not sleep. The image of the girl haunted him, her frightened eyes, the burst of impossible light, the desperate way she had run. His hands still felt warm, as if the colors had stained him too. He sat in the dark, staring at his palm, whispering to himself. What just happened? Outside, the colony was buzzing with rumors. Some said the human had cursed her. Others whispered that he was chosen. And somewhere in the silent corners, the girl sat alone, trembling, her skin glowing faintly in the dark. She pressed her hands to her face, her heart racing with fear. For the first time in her life, she had been touched, and it had changed everything. She did not know if it was a blessing or a curse, but she knew one thing. The human had unlocked something inside her that could never be hidden again. The next morning, the colony was restless. Murmurs moved through the streets faster than footsteps. People gathered at wells, shops, and narrow alleys, their voices low but sharp. Every whisper carried the same words. The color girl had been touched, and the one who touched her was human. Some spoke with fear, others with excitement, but most carried suspicion in their eyes. Ryan walked through the market, and he could feel the weight of their stares pressing against him. He had been watched before, but never like this. Now every glance was heavier, every silence longer. When he passed, conversation stopped mid-sentence. An alien mother pulled her child away from his path as if his shadow itself carried danger. Some of the soldiers joked about it. They called him the Chosen in mocking tones. But the older ones warned him to stay alert. "They don't trust you anymore," one said, tightening his grip on his weapon. Ryan tried to laugh it off, but inside he felt unease. In the far side of the colony, the girl sat hidden inside a crumbling stone building, clutching her knees to her chest. Her skin flickered from dull gray to trembling blue, unable to stay calm. She remembered the heat of his hand, the storm of colors that burst out of her. No one had ever touched her before. No one dared. And now it had happened. By a human of all beings. She closed her eyes, hearing the voices outside. Elders argued among themselves, their words sharp and full of fear. If the prophecy is real, one said, her bond with the outsider could bring ruin. Another argued, or it could bring power. We must not decide too quickly. Their voices carried into the streets, feeding the fire of gossip. When she stepped outside for just a moment, the crowd froze. The glow of her skin was faint, but even that was enough to silence everyone around. Her emotions betrayed her. No matter how much she tried to hide, her colors told the truth. And today they were a deep shade of violet, confusion mixed with shame. One brave child reached toward her, eyes wide with wonder. But before he could touch her, his mother yanked him away, scolding him harshly. "Never touch her," the woman hissed. "She carries danger now." The girl's heart sank lower, her skin shifting to black streaks that revealed despair. Meanwhile, Ryan sat alone on a bench near the colony gates, trying to make sense of what had happened. He kept remembering the old man's words, "You have awakened it." But awakened what? The more he thought, the less it felt like an accident. The memory of her glowing skin kept flashing in his mind, filling him with both curiosity and unease. At dusk, he saw her again. She was walking quickly, hood pulled over her head, trying not to be noticed. But she noticed him. Their eyes met across the crowded street, and for a moment time seemed to stop. Her skin betrayed her again. Flares of bright gold mixed with crimson pulsed along her arms. The crowd gasped. That color combination had not been seen in generations. Someone shouted, "The prophecy! The bond is real." The crowd surged, half in fear, half in awe. The girl's face turned pale, and she darted away down a side alley. Ryan's heart pounded as he stood, watching her disappear once more. That night, torches burned in the square. The elders gathered, speaking loudly so the people could hear. "The human's touch has revealed her true nature," one declared. "This is not coincidence. It is a warning." Another replied, "It may be a gift. If their bond grows, it could change everything we know." Ryan listened from the shadows, silent. He felt caught in something larger than himself, a storm of fear and belief he barely understood. And somewhere, hidden from them all, the girl pressed her glowing hands against her chest, whispering to herself in trembling words. Why him? Why now? Her colors flickered violently across the walls, painting the dark with fear, hope, and something new she could not name. Days later, the colony was attacked. It came without warning, a beast from the wild lands beyond the walls, its roar shaking the ground as if the earth itself were angry. The people screamed and scattered, running for safety as the creature's massive claws tore through stone. Soldiers rushed forward, weapons flashing, but their fear was obvious. Even they had never seen such a monster. Ryan grabbed his rifle and ran toward the chaos. Smoke and dust filled the air, making it hard to see. Through the haze, he spotted her. The girl with shifting skin. She was frozen near the broken marketplace, clutching her basket again, staring at the monster as if her legs could no longer move. Without thinking, Ryan pushed through the panic and reached her just as the beast swung its claw. He tackled her to the ground, rolling both of them into the shadow of a wall. The claw slammed down where she had been standing, shattering stone into shards. Her skin flared red with terror, then a violent silver that pulsed like lightning. She stared at him, trembling, her voice shaking as she whispered, "Why? Why do you always find me?" The beast roared again, crushing stalls and scattering debris. Ryan pulled her up by the arm, shouting, "Move!" But as soon as he touched her, her colors changed once more. This time glowing gold, bright and pure, shimmering across her body like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Gasps rose from the people who had stopped to watch. Gold was forbidden, sacred. It meant something deeper than fear or anger. In her culture, it meant connection, bond, desire, and it was shining because of him. The girl's eyes widened in horror. She tried to pull away, but his grip only tightened as the beast came charging toward them again. Together, they ran through the collapsing market, the sound of snapping wood and stone behind them. Each time he touched her to pull her out of danger, her colors grew brighter, casting light even through the smoke. Finally, they were cornered against a wall. The beast loomed over them, jaws open wide. Ryan lifted his rifle, firing round after round into its chest, but it only staggered. It wasn't enough. The girl cried out, pressing her glowing hands to the ground without even knowing why. The light from her skin spread into the earth, pulsing like veins of fire. A sudden crack opened beneath the monster's feet, throwing it off balance. Ryan didn't understand how she had done it, but she looked at her hands in shock, just as surprised as he was. Her voice was weak, trembling with disbelief. "It only happens when you touch me." The beast fell, screeching in pain, and the soldiers finally surrounded it, driving it back with spears and fire until it retreated beyond the colony walls. Silence fell, broken only by the frightened breaths of those who had survived. Everyone's eyes turned to the girl and the human soldier who stood beside her. She pulled her arm free at last, shaking, her skin flickering between red and gold like a storm trying to decide which side to take. The crowd whispered in awe and suspicion. Elders watched from the high steps, their faces tight with unease. Ryan reached out again, gently, but she stepped back quickly, clutching her glowing hands to her chest. Her voice was sharp, desperate. "You don't understand. If they see gold, they will never forgive us." The whispers grew louder, turning into shouts. The word "forbidden" echoed across the square. The people were no longer just afraid of the beast. They were afraid of her, afraid of him. And yet in her trembling eyes, behind all the fear, there was something else. A question, a spark of trust that terrified her even more than the monster had. Ryan stood still, surrounded by hostile stares, his chest heaving, his hand tingling with the memory of her light. He did not know what would happen next, but he knew one truth. Whatever her power was, it only revealed itself when she was with him, and that made them both dangerous in a way the colony had never seen before. Night settled heavy over the colony, the kind of night where even the torches burned low, as if afraid of what they had seen earlier. Ryan slipped through the narrow alleys, avoiding patrols and watching eyes. He had been warned to stay away from the girl, but the memory of her glowing skin haunted him, pulling him back like an invisible thread. He found her near the old water cistern, hidden in shadows, knees drawn close, her skin dim with streaks of blue and black. She didn't flinch when he approached, but her voice was soft, raw. "You shouldn't be here." Ryan sat a short distance away, careful not to touch her. "I had to see you. What happened today? That wasn't normal." Her lips trembled, and for a moment she said nothing. Then she lifted her hands, letting him see the faint glow that rippled under her skin. "This is my curse. Since I was a child, every touch revealed me. No one dared come close. Even my own family feared me. But when you touched me, it was different. It wasn't pain. It wasn't fear. It was..." Her voice broke, her colors shifting into shades of violet she couldn't control. "It was everything." Ryan's chest tightened. He didn't know what to say, but his silence was enough. She looked at him sharply, fear flashing silver across her cheeks. "If they find out what it means, they will take me away. They will bury me in the caves where no light can be seen. Do you understand?" He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Then I won't let them find out." Her eyes widened, a faint gold shimmer escaping despite her effort to hold it back. "You don't understand, human. Gold is the color of bond. It is not friendship, not protection. It means something forbidden between us." The words hung heavy in the night air. Ryan stared at her, realizing the truth of what he had seen during the attack. Her body had betrayed her heart. She looked away quickly, pulling the cloth tighter around herself as if hiding from both him and her own colors. From the distance, voices rose, patrols searching, elders whispering, hunters moving through the streets. She pressed a finger to her lips, begging him not to make a sound. Together they crouched in silence, so close that the heat of his shoulder brushed against hers. Her skin flickered gold again, unbidden, and she gasped softly. Ryan whispered, "You can't control it, can you?" She shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. "No matter how hard I try, when you are near, it escapes. And if the elders see it again, they won't just take me. They'll kill you." Her confession hung between them, heavier than the night. Ryan clenched his fists, anger stirring in his chest, but he stayed quiet. He wanted to reach for her, to prove he wasn't afraid, but he knew even a single touch could paint the walls with colors that would give them away. The torches of the patrol flickered closer, their shadows stretching long. She grabbed his sleeve suddenly, her hand trembling, her skin flashing pale silver. "Please," she whispered, her voice breaking, "promise me you'll survive, even if they take me." Ryan met her gaze, his jaw set. "I don't make promises I don't keep. If they take you, I'll come for you." Her skin flared gold so bright it lit the stones around them, and both of them froze, realizing the light would betray them. The sound of footsteps grew louder. Ryan grabbed her hand, pulling her deeper into the shadows. Her colors danced wildly now, fear, hope, love, all colliding into a storm that neither of them could stop. And in that storm, she finally understood the danger was not only in being touched, it was in wanting to be touched again. The knock on Ryan's door came just before dawn, sharp and heavy. He reached for his weapon, but when he opened the door, soldiers were already waiting, spears raised. Behind them stood elders in long robes, their eyes cold with judgment. "The girl has spoken with you," one said. "You will come with us." Ryan was dragged through the streets, his wrists bound, the colony already awake with whispers. People lined the alleys, pointing, murmuring the same word again and again. "Forbidden." Some spat at the ground as he passed, others looked away as if afraid even to meet his eyes. He caught sight of the girl standing at the far end of the square, her arms held by two guards. Her skin was black, streaked with violent red, colors of despair and fury clashing together. She struggled, shouting something he couldn't hear over the noise. The council gathered in the high chamber, a circle of stone lit by flickering fire. Ryan was forced to his knees. The eldest among them stepped forward, his voice booming. "The prophecy warned us. If the color of bond ever revealed itself with an outsider, ruin would follow. The girl has broken law, and the human has awakened what should have stayed hidden." Ryan lifted his head, anger burning in his eyes. She didn't break anything. It wasn't her choice. The girl cried out, but the guards silenced her with a rough grip. Her skin flared a deep crimson, her pain visible to all. She looked at Ryan, desperate, her lips forming silent words. "Don't speak." The elder raised his hand. "The girl will be taken to the dark caves where no one will see her light again, and the human will be chained until he is removed from this world." The chamber filled with gasps and murmurs. Some nodded in approval, others hesitated, fear plain on their faces. But no one dared challenge the elder. Ryan's chest tightened as the guards pulled him to his feet. He struggled against their hold, fury surging through him. "You can't bury her alive because of colors she can't control." The elder's voice was calm, cruel. "It is not the colors we fear, human. It is what they mean." The girl screamed then, her voice cracking with raw pain. Her skin turned completely black, swallowing every other shade until even the faintest glow disappeared. The sight was so rare the crowd gasped, stepping back. Black meant despair, so final it erased all hope. She shook violently, trying to break free from the guards, but they dragged her toward the heavy gates that led down into the earth. Ryan's heart pounded. He fought harder, breaking one guard's grip, but another slammed the butt of a spear into his ribs, knocking the air out of him. Chains rattled as they forced him back to his knees. The girl's cries echoed across the chamber as the gates closed behind her. The sound cut into him deeper than any wound. As silence returned, Ryan's rage burned hotter. He clenched his fists, the memory of her colors searing his mind. They wanted to bury her, to erase her light forever, and they expected him to vanish quietly with chains around his wrists. But as the flames flickered across the chamber walls, Ryan's eyes hardened. He was done waiting. Somewhere in the depths of the colony, the girl was already being locked away, her glow swallowed by stone. And though despair painted her skin black, a single spark of hope still flickered in her heart, the memory of his promise whispered in the shadows, "If they take you, I'll come for you. The chains bit into his wrists, but Ryan pulled until the iron tore his skin. He waited until the guards outside the cell grew tired, their footsteps fading into the quiet night. The chamber smelled of stone and dust, but beneath it he could hear faint echoes like whispers through the walls. He knew where they had taken her, deep into the caves, the place no one returned from. His promise burned in his mind, sharper than the pain in his arms. When the torchlight dimmed, he moved. A stone he had loosened earlier in the wall gave way, and he forced his body through the gap, ignoring the scrape of rock against his skin. He emerged into a tunnel that sloped downward, the air colder, the sound of dripping water guiding him like a path. Deeper he went, until the silence was broken by a sound that froze him in place, a faint, trembling sob. He followed it, turning corners, slipping past cracks of dim light, until he saw her. She was chained against the wall, her head bowed, her skin almost colorless, a pale gray as if her body had given up trying to speak. "Hey," Ryan whispered, his voice shaking more than he wanted. Her head lifted slowly, her eyes wide with disbelief. "You came," she breathed, as if she hadn't believed the promise herself. The moment her eyes found him, faint colors bled back into her skin, silver, violet, then the faintest gold. Ryan hurried forward, pulling at the chains. They were thick, carved with strange marks, humming with energy. He pushed and pulled, but they wouldn't break. The girl shook her head weakly. "They sealed me with binding stone. Only death can free me." "No," Ryan growled, his hands raw against the iron. "I won't let them bury you." He pressed his hand against her wrist. The moment they touched, the air shivered. Her skin erupted with light so fierce it filled the cavern, gold streaked with white, bursting outward in waves. The marks on the chains glowed, cracked, and shattered. The stone walls shook, dust falling from above. The girl gasped, staring at her freed arms, her voice trembling. "It's stronger with you." The sound of guards shouting echoed through the tunnels. Torches flared at the far end, footsteps racing closer. The girl's skin shifted red with panic, but Ryan squeezed her hand tighter. "Then let's use it." The glow around her grew brighter, forming a shield of shimmering light that bent the shadows away. Arrows fired from the darkness shattered against it. The guards hesitated, fear flashing across their faces. They had never seen her power unleashed, not like this. Ryan pulled her forward, both of them moving as the shield pushed the enemy back. Each time he touched her, the glow intensified, spreading farther, blinding the cave with colors that pulsed like a heartbeat. She looked at him in awe and fear, her voice breaking as she whispered, "You're not just freeing me, you're changing me." The ceiling above them cracked with the force of the light, stone collapsing around the fleeing guards. Ryan pulled her into the open passage, the night air finally rushing in. She stumbled into his arms, her body trembling, her skin glowing brighter than the stars overhead. They stopped only when they reached the silent edge of the forest beyond the colony. She collapsed against him, her skin flickering with exhaustion, soft blue, pale violet, and finally gold that refused to fade. For a long moment neither spoke, breaths ragged, hearts pounding. Then she whispered against his chest, her voice filled with both terror and hope. "They will come for us. They won't stop. But now, I think I know why I was born this way." Ryan looked down at her, the glow painting his face, and tightened his hold. "Then let them come." Dawn broke with fire on the horizon, the colony shaken from the night's chaos. The elders stood on the high steps, their robes torn, their voices trembling as they tried to calm the frightened crowd. Rumors spread faster than truth. Some said the girl had destroyed the caves with light. Others swore she had fled with the human to gather an army. Every whisper carried fear, but also something else, awe. From the forest's edge, Ryan watched the colony stir. Beside him, the girl sat silently, her head resting against his shoulder, her skin glowing with a steady golden hue that no longer faded. For the first time, her colors did not flicker or clash. They shone calm and unbroken, as if she had finally accepted what she was. She turned to him, her eyes soft, her voice low. "They will hunt us. They will call me cursed, call you thief, maybe worse. But when I was in those chains, I thought I would die with nothing. Now." She touched his hand, the glow spreading brighter around them. "Now I think I was meant to live with everything." The sound of marching feet echoed across the valley. A column of warriors advanced from the colony, shields raised, spears flashing in the rising sun. Their leader shouted, demanding her return. The people behind them cried out, torn between fear and reverence. Ryan stood, pulling her gently to her feet. He could feel her trembling, but when she looked up at him, her colors did not show fear. They burned gold and white, defiant, alive. She stepped forward beside him, no longer hiding, no longer ashamed. The light rippled outward in a wave that touched the grass, the trees, even the sky above. The warriors stopped. Their weapons shook in their hands. Some fell to their knees, blinded by the brilliance. The elders cried out, but their voices were lost in the rising chorus of gasps and cries. The girl's power was no longer a secret to be buried. It was a truth that could not be denied. She raised her hand, her voice carrying across the silence. This is not a curse. This is who I am. And this human has shown me what it means to be more than fear. If you call it forbidden, then let it be forbidden, but it will not be hidden. The crowd wavered, torn between law and wonder. For the first time, Ryan saw hope flicker in their eyes. The golden light washed over the colony, chasing shadows from every corner. She turned back to him, her skin shining brighter than ever, and whispered words only he could hear. Whatever happens now, I am not afraid. Not while you are beside me. Ryan's heart steadied, his hand closing around hers. Together they faced the colony, the storm of fear and belief, the weight of prophecy itself. And as the sun rose higher, painting the sky in fire and gold, the people witnessed something their laws had never imagined. Light born not from bloodline or tradition, but from a single forbidden touch that changed everything.